Okay. Hey guys, and my topic is about PyJails in the wild, bringing CTF challenges to the real world. So before we start this topic, we need to know what are the PyJails, right? So when we talk about sandbox or jail, not only PyJails, we want the users can execute some codes, but not the malicious ones. For example, maybe you want the user to print a hello world or generate some numbers, but not to maybe write some file, or maybe not to execute a shell command. Yeah, it's pretty dangerous, and you don't want the users to do that. So that's our target. We want to make a that's the PyJails target. The PyJails doesn't want users can execute those malicious code. So let's start it by making a jail. So here is a example. Yeah, this is not jail. It's just it accepts the user input and run the code. It's a free RCE. Yeah, and now when it comes to jail, the first thing might pop in your mind might just make a blacklist. Yeah, it's pretty stupid, and it's of course a blacklist is pretty make you want to bypass it. Yeah, it is. Okay, and here is a blacklist. It checks if a user's code is a user provided code contains like import, execute, eval, open. Yeah, a lot of dangerous stuff. And if the code contains these keywords, then no, just don't execute it. Yeah, this is a pretty simple blacklist-based PyJail. Okay, and here's a payload for bypassing this drill. You can call a global variable. You can call a globals. It can return a dictionary of the global variable, and also a small trick here is like we always have a built-in module in our Python environment. It's like it stores all the built-in object or functions. For example, like int or float or power, all the built-in stuff is there. And by this, we can get a built-in module and bypass and use this kind of syntax to bypass this keyword and get an eval function. Yeah, that's it. And that's a pretty simple case of bypassing a PyJail, and it's a classic type of a beginner level CTF challenge, I would say. And also, we can, since we use a built-in function here, a global function here, so maybe we can just don't let the user to get those built-in objects. So as an eval function, there's a built-in, there's a second argument you can pass into. That is, you can make the built-ins to none or empty dictionary. By this, with the previous payload here, the globals will not ever exist there. And okay, here is an example for another CTF challenge, and how to bypass it we will discuss later. And I think I forgot to introduce myself, so here it is. Okay, my idea is split line. You can call me split line, and on the right side is my common. I use this avatar on the internet, and it's from a manga which called 20th Century Boys, if you know that. Okay, and I'm graduated from National Yangming University in computer science, and also I'm a CTF player at SideStick. It's a new team, by the way, and also a TWN48. We got a third place in DEFCON 31. Okay, and also I'm a web security and application security enthusiast. Also, I'm a Python lover, maybe a lover, but I love to pound it, so I'm still a lover. Okay, and this is my self-introduction. Okay, so before we go into the details, I would like to categorize the PyJails into two types. It is just in my opinion. Okay, I would say there is a code execution jail and a deserialization-based jail. So the code execution jail is a pretty common type of PyJail. It's just like the previous case, the previous example in the first of our talk, of my talk. And yeah, the user can just provide a piece of Python code and throw it into the sandbox, and the sandbox might hook some behavior, or just do some blacklist or something, or do some limitation anyway. And yeah, there will be a result or something, and or the code is just get banned. Also there is a deserialization-based jail. Maybe it's not really a jail, but as a hacker, it's still a jail. It's like a user can provide a serialized data and get into a deserializer, and it's just like Pico. Pico is a common type of serialization format in Python. So you can throw a piece of serialized data into a deserializer, and maybe the deserializer might have some limitation. It's optional. You don't need to have a limitation on a deserializer, but maybe sometimes there is. And in the end, you can get a deserialized data. You can get an original object of the serialized data. So as a hacker, the process of deserialize contains some behavior. For example, you can create some object or import some object. Anyway, it's limited behavior of a Python. So as a hacker, it's still a jail. So yeah, I categorize the PyJails into these two types. And okay, before I will talk about my finding, but before that, let's talk about some previous work for you guys to better to understand this kind of these two types of jail. Okay, so first, let's talk about code execution jail. So I will take this as an example. It's a Jinja 2 SSTI, server-side template injection. It's a pretty common type of server-side template injection, and it's a pretty classic example. Okay, here is the user can provide a name as a get parameter, and it will be concatenated with a string, and in the end, it's thrown into the template engine and render it. So in the normal use case, a user can input a name, and in the end, it renders as this kind of HTML. But also you can, the user input directly get into the template engine, so you can input some template syntax here, like this. The double curly bracket is a syntax for this Jinja 2 template engine. So with this syntax, the 7 multiplied 7 will be evaluated as 49 here. So you might think, okay, here is a free code evaluation. So here you might just think, okay, now let's just type some malicious code, or maybe you want to import OS and use the system function. Yeah, it sounds Yeah, it sounds good, but it's not that easy. If you type this import OS and with a system function and run a command, no, it wouldn't work. You will get an error that is import is undefined. It's actually it might let you to recall the slide in the previous. Okay, so with the built-ins now, with the globals, we has a with an empty built-ins, you will also get a variable is undefined error. Yeah, like this. So actually, in the environment of Jinja 2, is the globals is still undefined. So we need to bypass this kind of scenario. How do we get back maybe get a system back, get a system function back, or get a import back? Okay, that's our challenge. So here is one of the solution for this kind of challenge. Okay, here is actually in the Jinja 2 environment, there is still some kind of built-in function. One of those is listen. Listen is a user-defined function, and all the user-defined function in the PyJail, no PyJail is in a Python is we always has a globals attribute. This attribute is a dictionary, and it stores all the global objects of this function. Just like if in the context of this function has maybe some global variable, and it will be stored. It will be stored in this attribute, like this. And in the context of the listen function, there is an OS module, so you can just get a system function. Yeah, that's a little bit easy. And also there's another exploit for another payload for this kind of scenario. So you can get an object. Yeah, the object. There's an object called object in Python, and it's basically all the objects in Python are derived by this object. Yeah, and you can get subclasses of object. And finally, you might get something like OS wrap clause, a class like OS wrap clause, and finally, you still can get a system function. This is a payload pretty common for bypassing this kind of scenario with empty built-ins here. And yeah, here is a simple example for bypassing a code execution PyJail in the real world. And yeah, there's a lot of cases about Jinja 2 STI bypassing, STI exploitation, and in the real world, yes. Okay, let's talk about an example about deserialization jail. Yeah, we can talk about Pico, but I would like to choose PyYAML as an example. Okay, so here is an example about, here is an CVE, it is CVE 2020-14343. And yeah, it's just a YAML module, but it supports more than just a normal YAML. It's supposed to construct some Python object. For example, you can get a name from global, and also you can create an instance of an object. So let's go directly to the payload here. It's like with this Python object new tuple and Python object new map and Python name evil, you can convert this YAML format into this Python script. Yeah, it's a bit like this. And by the way, the Python object new is only supports those kind of class. It's not you cannot put evil function here anyway. By using this, you can import those global variable and into here and construct the payload. This make it can execute a evil function like this, and we can trigger the RC here. Okay, let's get into. Okay, so this is kind of the deserialization test. Since it deserializes this YAML into since the bug is caused by deserializing this YAML, and it indeed has some kind of restricted behavior for Python. It cannot just like a normal Python to execute anything you want. It has some limited function. Yeah, as for a hacker, it's a little bit like a jail. So let's go into the real world case. Real world cases I have discovered. So the first case is the FlatPay cloud. Okay, so this case is code execution jail. When we talk about that kind of case for bypassing a PyJail, you might notice that basically all the payloads require a double underscore. Like here. All this stuff requires a double underscore. So yeah, we can just disallow it. We can, if the double underscore is in the code, then no, we just don't let you have a double underscore in the code. Yeah, it's pretty balanced, but it might be useful. So here is an implementation in a FlatPay cloud. So here is a save evil function, and yes, first it disallows some unsafe attributes. Yeah, we didn't talk about that, but yeah, some of this is pretty dangerous, and if an attacker can access it, it might be able to do some malicious stuff. But anyway, it disallows some malicious stuff here, and also the key point is it disallows the double underscore here, and also it also disallows the built-in. It also makes the built-ins empty here. So how can we exploit it? Here is one illegal payload, and it will be failed. So like this, and a lot of double underscore here. There's 4 double underscore here, and this is a exploitable payload. Can you find something special here? 3, 2, 1. Okay, so here is 4 with underscore. Yeah, there's 4 with underscore. Yeah, it's pretty weird. Is that a valid Python syntax? Yes, it is. And okay, let's read the document. In PEP 3131, it said that okay, Python want to support some non-ASCII identifier. Okay, that's fine. We can put emoji into our variable name. Okay, that's cool, but it's cursed, but that's cool, yeah. But okay, but besides that, they also do pretty weird stuff here. It said that all the identifiers besides, except for the first characters, need to be normalized by NFKC. NFKC is normalization from compatibility composition. Yeah. Anyway, it's a way to normalize Unicode. But why would I do that? It's pretty weird. So with this kind of normalizations, all of these six characters will be normalized to a normal underscore. Okay, so our payload here, it can be any of them. Yeah, any of them. And also, you can even write your code in this way. Yeah, if you, okay. So if you want to be a cool kid, you can start to refactor all of your Python project into this kind of code. Okay. So let's talk about a patch. It's pretty simple, but I think it works. It's just normalized before it check their code. Yeah, I think maybe it works. You can check it again, if you want. Okay, this is the first case. And the second case is about restricted unpickled. Okay, we still need to talk about what is pickle. So it's pretty common. It is a pretty common serialization format for Python. A lot of module or tools will use that. For example, maybe like a machine learning model or catch or session or something. They use that, and it's actually a stack-based machine. Yeah, it's a virtual machine. It's actually a stack-based virtual machine. Yeah, so pickle is actually a series of OP code, or you can say it's bytecode anyway. And let's talk about how can we use it normally, and not like a hacker. Okay, so you can serialize a dictionary. Like this is a dictionary with key is cat and variable is meow, and it can be serialized into this human unreadable stuff. And we can deserialize it, and it will be back to a normal dictionary, like this and this. Okay. And of course, the unpickle is dangerous, so we have this topic. And I think a lot of people here already know that the unpickle is dangerous. You can just write a class like this and with a reduce method, and the reduce method return a tuple. The first element of this tuple is a function, and the second element of the tuple is a tuple of the arguments you want to call. And when we lose it, when we deserialize it, it will execute this function, the function and the argument here, and it will execute it like this, and it will trigger any function you want. Like this. And yeah, that's a basic exploitation for deserializing a pickle. And yes, by the way, it's pretty dangerous to load a pre-trained model if you don't really trust it. But I think everyone's still doing that. So anyway, but anyway, it's pretty dangerous. How about let's make it safer? Yeah, before we make it safer, we need to know why the pickle or pickle is so dangerous. I categorize the pickle or pickles, the capability of pickle or pickles into these 6 types here. First is it can create a variable, and like it's a value, not a variable. You can create string, number, tuple, list, dictionary, or float or something. And also you can call a function, and you can import something, or set attribute, or set item. Yeah, it's just like a limited version of Python. It can only support this kind of syntax, but it's still Python. But there's no built-in objects or functions there, and it cannot get attribute or get item. It doesn't suppose that. And all of this behavior, of course, can be mapped to some bytecode here, but you don't need to care about it. We just want to write a Python. So actually, I did write a compiler to convert a Python script to Pico bytecode to make me exploit those Pico easier. So you can try it. But we need to figure out which part of this behavior is the dangerous one. So I would say it's this one. Import something is pretty dangerous. Since there's originally nothing to use, there's no built-in object, no functions there, but it can import them. So maybe you can just import some dangerous stuff like evil or like system or run. You can import this stuff to execute some dangerous Python code or dangerous shell command there. And okay, and actually this kind of function, I mean importing function is actually behind that is actually trigger the find class of unpicker, the find class method of unpicker. If you want to import evil from built-ins, it triggers a find class with first argument is a module built-ins, and the second argument is the evil, the object you want to use. Okay, so we can just hook this find class stuff, and hook this with. If you hook this stuff, then you can just check if the module is safe, if the object is safe. Yeah, we can just check this. So actually, this is an official way of mitigation the dangerous of Pico. So here is below is an official example of implementing this restricted unpicker. So you use a find class method here and check if the module is built-in, and also you need to be the name you want to import need to be in the safe built-ins list. Yeah, it's really simple, and really I think there's no way to bypass this, but is other guys still set the rules correctly? Not really. Okay, let's take a. Okay, so when we talk about bypassing it, actually we are just writing a Python script with this limited syntax. It's not a hard. You don't need to really construct the OP code by yourself, since I have already write a compiler, just as I mentioned. So using only this capability, you can write and install it. So here is a real world example. It's dirt search. Yeah, I think you guys hacker might know that, since you guys are maybe you are a web hacker and you might know this tool is the directory scanning tool. It can save your scanning progress and restore your scanning progress. So the function is using Pico to achieve that. And here is the restricted unpicker in the search tool here. It's a little bit hard to read the code, so let's take a look at the rules. Okay, the rule is actually the module should be one of the allowed Pico modules. And here is the allowed Pico modules. And okay, let's get started with the second rule. The second rule is module is built-in, must be built-in, and the name is not execute or evil. Yeah. And actually, we can still bypass it with, we can not, the execute and the eval is not the only two dangerous stuff in the built-in. There is also an import. There's also an import function there, and also a get attribute function there. So you can just from built-ins import, and you can use the import function to get an OS module and also get a system attribute on the OS module. Then you can run any code, run any shell command you want, like this. Also, you can use okay. So for a third rule here, module is submodule of one of the adult Pico module. Adult Pico module defined here, and in the lib, in the library, in this lib module, it has it imported an OS module here, so you can get a system function. So that's it. Yeah. And for the first rule, it's a little bit complicated, so I put it in the last ones to speak. Okay, so module is one of the adult Pico module. Okay, so I choose collections as a gadget to bypass this rule. So in the collections module, there's a function which is called item getter. It's actually imported from the operator, but anyway, it's still in the collections. The item getter, just like as it named, you can get an item. And also, all the module has a built-in on it. Yeah, basically all the module. For example, maybe operators or OS module or collections module or any module has a built-in on it. And with this built-in module on it, with this item getter and the built-ins, you can use the item getter to get an item in the built-in module. Okay, here's a code like a pseudocode like this. You can use item getter to make it can get an eval. This function can make you get the eval item. Yeah. So collections, we can call get eval on the built-ins, and you can retrieve the eval function, and finally you can get a eval function and execute any code you want. Okay, here is a bonus. And actually, the default unpickler, the find class method of the unpickler is pretty powerful. It can get nested attributes on any object. So like this, you can get a subclasses module here, subclasses function here. And also with this pseudocode, you can achieve this code if the unpickler use the find class. Okay, so if someone write a restricted unpickler like this, just check the module, only check the module but not the name, and also use the find class method here. We can always get an eval with this kind of implementation. Just use this piece of pseudocode. Okay, and it's actually this is actually a topic in a speak in HitCon 2022 previous year. Yeah, so you can refer to that. It's also my talk. So actually, we found 9 bypassable cases in the real world, and not just this one. And also, we devised some strategy for bypassing, but we don't have enough time to describe all of this. So let's go to the next one, also the last one. This is a PyAMF module. AMF is also a serialization format. It's actual action message format. It's proposed by Adobe, and it's a binary format. Anyway, it's a little bit complicated to describe all the function it has, but let's focus on this OP code. It has a type object OP code here, and that's how it works. You can import any class you want, like this, and it can new it, not just call it, it's new it, using this kind of syntax. And finally, you can set attributes on the instance. So yeah, just this import an arbitrary class from an arbitrary module and new it and set some attributes on it. With only these three capability, you need to pound this module. Okay, so now it's a gadget finding time, and it might be a little bit complicated, but it's a challenge in HitCon qualification 2023, and there is 14 of this. Maybe some of the solver might be here. Maybe, I'm not sure. Okay, so first we need to discuss about the sync here. Actually, I just need a case with this beautiful method. Like, if we can pass an argument into there and a method will execute our argument, that would be pretty good. Maybe just execute it as a code or execute it as a shell command like that. Okay, actually there it is. There's a PDB class in the PDB module, and there's a method called doBreak here, and it accepts this ARG argument and directly pass into the eval function. Yeah, it's perfect. So, but how to invoke a method and control its argument? We can just do this, right? So how to control all of this? So we can use some magic methods in Python. So yeah, here it is. And yeah, when it comes to deserialization, it's always useful to find some magic methods. So for example, the len method maybe will be called when you call a len on an object. And also the delete method is a destructor. It will always be invoked. And here is a call magic method. It can be disguised as any magic function, since if you treat an object with a call magic method and call it, and just call this object, and it will invoke this magic method. So it's a pretty useful gadget. So here is like a proxy to invoke a method, which is service wrapper. It has a call magic method here, and it accepts method and parameters as two arguments. Okay, so it just works like this. If we set its attributes, its service attribute as a PDB class, PDB instance, then you can just call the service wrapper like this, and it will execute the doBreak method of PDB for you. And you can pass a parameter, yeah. So, but how can we call this? We cannot control its argument, right? We still have this problem. So, but actually this is just like a call user function, the function of call user function in the PHP, yeah. Okay, so now our challenge is how do we control this these arguments. So we can pass in parameters. Okay, this is a way to let us to pass in parameter. There is a class named method, and when we call it, you can okay, like this. You can set a function and also set a name, since it's both of them, the send and the name is attribute, so we can control it, and the arguments will be into here. So that's it. Now let's take a look at the final payload here. Here is the final payload. The named argument is, I treat it as an attribute for you to better to understand the code. Okay, and so here is the final payload, and first this will become this, since this part, the send part will be here, So the self send will become like this, and self name will become here, and the argument is empty. Yeah, we cannot control anything since it's like a magic method. So now let's continue. The method is being called again. Like, and the arguments is this, and this. So now it became this. So now the send is the service wrapper. The send method is the service wrapper, and name is here is a do break function, and the arguments is from here. It's became this. So now finally we achieved our goal. It's a little bit complicated. It's a little bit hard to explain how the gadgets work. So anyway, we finally get here. We finally get this function, and yes, now the self-service here. Now we can get a do break method from the self-service, and also passing a parameter here to here. So now we can execute any code we want, so we can pound it. So that's it. And yeah, here is a 3 example of my finding in the real world. And now let's talk about migration. Okay. So first, let's talk about the code execution. So why not just run a Python in a sandbox? Yeah, it will be better anyway. But if you really need to directly run it, but you still want to keep it safe, it's better to use an existing implementation. Yeah, don't try to reinvent the wheel. And I think if you really still need to parse the Python code, it's better to use a built-in AST module in case of some weird behavior, for example, like the NFKC1. And for deserialization, I would say if it's better to make a strict quality allow list for importing. I mean, on both module and name. Don't just check the module. Don't just check the name. Just use a allow list, not a blacklist. And yeah, in my research before, for bypassing the restrict picker in the real world, all the non-bypassable implementation are using a strict allow list. So that's it. Thank you for your listening. Okay.